Greetings once again. My name is Keisha Davis and I'm your host. My guest today is Ronke Adeyemi, who's the founder of the incredible Brown Beauty Talk, which is an online beauty website that connects Black and Asian consumers with various brands. Ronke is a friend and colleague of mine. We've known each other for many, many years, and we both share a love of things like popular culture, beauty, athletics, you name it, which I'm sure we'll get into as the conversation proceeds. Ronke, welcome to my podcast. Thank you for being here. How are you feeling today?
Hi, thanks for having me. Really excited, actually a bit nervous though, but
Oh,
excited.
don't be nervous. Just us, no one's listening yet.
Not yet,
Not
but
yet,
they will.
exactly.
Yeah, you haven't promoted it yet, so
No.
you'll be getting a million followers
Oh,
soon.
let's hope so. Fingers crossed. Okay, so thank you for joining me because, as I said in the intro, we've known each other forever. We've got so much in common as well. We're both kind of Gen Xers as well, navigating this beauty industry as mature women. So I'm really interested in learning more about your journey, about Brown Beauty Talk, and all the topics we kind of talk about offline. We're trying to bring them to life online. So I want to dig deep first and find out more about your background. So tell me, where were you born and what was your childhood like? What were you like as a child?
Okay, so according to my mum, I was born in King's College Hospital in London,
Couldn't you?
and my first home was in Kellett Road. Mum keeps going on about it because I think I've only gone past it once. It's off Brixton, in between
Okay.
Brixton
So you're a
and
Brixton
Kingston.
girl.
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah, pretty much. So we lived there, and then about 2 years, my twin brothers came along. They were born 2 years, 2 months, 2 days after me.
Oh, wow.
So there's the three of us. I believe my parents rented a room in Kellett Road, and then I think we moved somewhere else. And then what I do remember is that we moved to Heman's Estate, which is literally down the road from Vauxhall. It's literally where the Nine Elms new train station
Okay.
is. So we grew up there. The estate was, I suppose you could say it's quite rough. Back in the day, I didn't consider it to be quite rough because when I think back about it, the police used to come round every night. There was always with a van, and there was always some sort of activity going on because it was like there's lots of flats sort of dotted around. They weren't high rises; they were like 4 levels.
Yeah.
We were on the floor, 33 Hunter House we lived in,
Mhm.
and there were balconies. Well, not individual, but community balconies. So everyone would come out and look out, and then and right underneath there was a sports centre where they have like summer activities. So everyone would go there, and then there was like a playground, and there were all it's like, kind of like a cul-de-sac of different flats was kind of dotted around.
Mhm.
And I think they backed off to probably where the Nine Elms Flower Market is now.
Okay.
So they'll all come around and congregate near this sports hall, play centre. They all like hang out on bikes, and our parents, if they were in a good mood, would let us go out or go downstairs if they don't go any further. So we'll all kind of hang out, and we all went to like some of us went to the same school, some of us didn't, and we all sort of like got to know each other, say community. But it's kind of weird because that's where we went every summer to play downstairs in the
Yes, I remember those play centres. So we're talking
yeah.
about what, the 80s now, really?
The
80s?
80s,
Yeah.
yeah, the 80s,
Yeah.
yeah, basically. And there's always music blaring, there's always some sort of like, incident going on, people hanging out, people arguing, people on their bikes and their skateboards with their dogs. That's what people being chased by dogs. It was like a community.
Yeah.
They don't get it anymore. So it was really interesting. But then obviously I went to Pimlico School. I went to Wyville School. And then after that, I went to Pimlico School.
Mhm.
And one thing I say about Pimlico is that it was extremely diverse. There
Mm.
were from rough ends, and then there were people that were very middle class, very posh, because they had a massive music
Okay.
department, which apparently one of the best in the country. So quite a few people, the posh ones, went there with their, you see them on the street, their cellos and their violins,
Wow. Because
and they
that's
were
Vauxhall as well, wasn't it? Pimlico School. That's Vauxhall?
it, it's big Pimlico, that's the
Victoria.
main station.
Okay.
It's
In
right
Pimlico
between
itself. Okay.
It's right between Vauxhall and
Mhm.
Victoria.
Yeah. That's
So all the poshies who lived in Chelsea or Hammersmith,
mm.
they'll come down. And I remember because Princess, the nursery school that Princess Diana used to work at before she married
Yeah.
Charles, right opposite the school.
Okay.
And it's actually around the corner from Dolphin Square.
I don't know that. What's
It's where Queen Anne lives, or Princess
okay?
Anne lives
Right.
there. I guess it's kind of like a bit of a posh kind of area,
Well,
particularly if
I
you're
know of Pimlico School, and I think to know you either know a school for it being really high performing or really bad. So the fact that I I'm nowhere near Pimlico, but I know of that school. Shows,
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite.
It was very. I would say it had very high low culture. As in, if you wanted to work, the
Mm,
resources were there. If you didn't want to work, you want to muck about, you could do that too. So it was very diverse for me.
so, what
So
kind of student were you at school?
um, I was not a good student because I had like really.
Really?
I read a lot, but
Yeah.
I was in my own little world. I think 'cause I had quite a lot of traumatic things going on at home,
Right.
and and I kind of like my way of recovering was really reading books.
Mm,
So I was quite shy, you see, and I didn't really sort of like. I guess because a quirky black girl and that is quite.
mm,
Say we're not on monolith, which is quite true, and you see different images of us around, which is quite acceptable. Back in those days, in the 80s, being a quirky black girl with glasses and reading books wasn't really the thing.
yeah.
So yeah, I got picked on quite a bit. I didn't really fit in with the other girls,
Okay.
so yeah. So basically, I had to look. My closest friend was like a little white girl. She was into books, that kind of stuff, really smart, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it took me quite a while to find myself. I wouldn't say it was my best year, really,
Okay.
but I would say one thing I would say is that it taught me a lot to accept people for who they are.
Right.
Because yeah, people from all walks of life, people that were like very academic, didn't have any social skills, people that were very, very social, people that were like, solo life of the party, people that were really into very trendy. You
Mhm.
had all sorts of walks of life. They all came, a lot of them all came to
Yeah,
Pimlico School.
yeah,
So yeah, it made me think in terms of like not accept people for who they are
yeah.
and not put people in a barrel.
Wow, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah, I can see how that shaped the woman you've become today. Then that kind
It
of
kind
love
of
of
does.
books. Yeah.
It kind of like surprised me as to when I meet people and they just don't seem to have any sort of understanding of people's cultures.
Mm,
They're like Malaysian, Asian,
yeah.
some live they live on Lupus Street, which is down the road from Pimlico School. They live on Marsham Street, which is a lot of them live around the Victoria
Yeah.
area, which is when you walk past there, I sort of think, those areas are really
Yeah.
expensive. But yeah, they were from different backgrounds. Yeah, just what now I sort of think to myself, why are people so narrow minded now? They don't seem to
Yeah.
have kind of like empathy skills as to where other people are coming from, particularly in the beauty industry.
Absolutely.
Make me sort of like think, why can't you think out of the
Yeah.
box?
So after that, did you go on to like college, uni? What was the next steps after school?
Well, I finished. When I did my options, like I said, I literally was not prepared for school at all. My parents came over in the 60s.
Okay.
So my mum left school, she was quite young, and my dad went on to do like further education. But he was kind of like, I'll say he was there, kind of, but physically there.
Mm,
But emotionally, he wasn't really involved in our schooling. My mum was, but they didn't know the system.
yeah.
And the way they were raised was to just believe everything the teacher told you.
Yeah.
So when I went to choose my option, I didn't have a clue. When I was out, I didn't really like. I didn't really like maths that much. But I did like the teacher. He was very engaging. But English was always my favourite subject, and I didn't know what else to choose. My mum said, "Yeah, choose." But my mum said, "Choose geography, biology, and history,
Oh.
and then science, or was it physics or some nonsense like that." I hated all those subjects. What I liked was English, and that
Yeah.
was the one I got the highest grade in.
Yeah. It's quite a similar story actually. I was the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I just wish that I'd been a bit more switched on, but I was just, people. It's kind of weird because when I was in my GCSEs, I was just in my own little bubble. I wasn't really thinking ahead.
Hmm.
And then when we finished our GCSEs, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to this college. I'm going to this college," and I was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, no plans whatsoever." So I just looked up and school was over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see these people ever again. Not that I got on them anyway, but I was like, everything's changed. And I
Absolutely.
stayed on because I didn't know what else to do. Did some crappy course called CPVE, which was technically like a cheaper version of the BTEC National, which they did for a year and then abandoned.
Okay.
And it was just like going to a ghost dance. I didn't know anyone, even though it was like familiar faces, they'd all gone.
So this is still at Pimlico, but now you're in the sixth form. Is that,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I kind of was, but kind of wasn't because we
Okay.
weren't doing A levels. There's only people that doing A levels. So did that course, finished it, and then after that, I think I did a couple more, tried to do a couple more courses. I went to lunch college of printing, and then I just wasn't focused,
Yeah.
basically. So I bumped around a couple of years. And I said I was going to work, get a job, and did some temping. And then I remember I got this role at the Department of Social Security,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Or was it
Yes.
DH?
DHSS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
I kind of lied on my application, which I wouldn't advise. I said I had
We all
GCSEs. I
did
took
it.
Problem was I didn't realise they checked.
Did they? I guess with DHSS, but with regular jobs, yeah, I got A's in everything.
And they found out, and then
Oh
it's like, sorry, you're not
no!
qualified to do the role, so I kind of had to resign.
Oh no! Well, after you'd actually started the job.
Really there, yeah, really there, like a good 3 months.
No way! Oh
I was
Lord!
really kind of traumatized.
Yeah.
Then, so I remember I met this really good friend of mine who was a really good friend. She was very focused. She was doing her A levels, or she's at the time, and she was sort of saying to me, "Go back, you thought about going back to college
Mm.
because I really think as a black lady, you really need a backup plan. You need to have qualifications." But she was actually raised in Nigeria, so from Nigeria, it's like if you don't have a degree, you're not getting anywhere.
Right.
So I was like, "Oh no, I'm not interested." And my mum obviously not happy that I didn't go back, stay on. They were not happy too. She was always on my case. So after that, that kind of like really kind of like gave me the motivation to go and further my education. Because I thought, if I have my education, then that's it. No one could say no one could say no to me that you're not qualified to do a role. I remember when the guy said to me, the manager said to me, "Well, you're not qualified to do this role, so you have to like, you know, we can't keep you on." And I remember that kind of like ate at me.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, no one's going to ever say to me again, "You're not qualified to do a role." So went back. I remember I went to South Thames, I applied to South Thames, and then the guy said to me, "Okay, we'll take you on as a mature student." And I was going to say, I want to do the GCSEs for 2 years and then do my A levels the next year. And he said to me, "Well, why have you thought about doing it this way? Do like 2 years here, you do two A levels, then two GCSEs in the first year. And the second year, do the second year of your A levels and do two GCSEs that way.
Oh,
That way you're saving a year." And I went, "Oh, that's a brilliant
that's a
idea."
brilliant idea. Yeah.
So I did it that way. And I went to university, went back to Southern Social when I was 20 and became a little bit more, I was more focused. So I applied myself and I passed all the exams and then started thinking about university.
Hmm.
And that was really, I kind of like fell into my element really.
Yeah.
So applied, did the whole UCAS thing, went around to different universities and I always knew I wanted to do something around communications and media because that
Mhm.
was the subject then and that's the only thing I was interested in. And I got to Sheffield Hallam University and then that was where I went.
Sheffield. You
Yeah.
lived in Sheffield for
3 years.
years. Oh, how was that experience?
Well, on a social aspect, it wasn't that bad, so I made some really good friends.
Hmm.
But the city are actually reconstructing it, regenerating it at the time. So they were doing that for the whole 3 years that
Oh
we were there.
no.
We didn't really get to benefit the
Yeah.
beauty that it is now. Apparently, it's amazing now, but we didn't have it. All we saw was like roadworks, that sort of stuff.
Mm.
Also, it was my first time out of London, so it was interesting. I mean, we were walking down the street thinking, "Oh God, what's it going to be like?" There weren't that many black people there, but we kind of like tried to stay together. I joined the
Yeah.
African Caribbean Society, which you did,
Yeah.
which you do, which is an experience. And that's when I met people that were not from London, so that was nice.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say it's probably my best years really going there.
Okay.
But I do wish that I socialised a bit more.
Yeah. And what was you
Just
studying? You were doing communications.
communications and media. Yeah,
Yeah, we did
it
the
was like
same
quite
degree.
cool.
I did the same
Yeah.
degree. Yeah. Awesome. So tell me about your love of like popular culture. How did that arise? You kind of made reference at the start of the interview of being like immersed in books. Was that like a segue into popular culture, would you say?
Oh yeah. Well, my mum wasn't too keen on us going out that much, so
Mm,
so it was either TV
yeah.
or books and magazines.
Yeah.
So books, when I discovered the library on Tatford Street, I was always there all the time reading books.
Yeah.
And because we didn't have that much money, my mum, we didn't really buy that many books, so I used to take them from the library and forget to return them.
Yes.
Which was a point where there was like a whole room full of books. My mum had a fit.
Wow.
Trouble.
It's so true.
No.
None of us were buying books back in the day. The library really was.
Well, there was no Amazon, was there? And there
No
weren't that many books.
Amazon, there was WH Smith, but they only had, I don't know, books just seemed like you said, until I started, like maybe had my own part time job, I wasn't able to say to my mum, can you give me £15 to buy a couple of Sweet Valley High books? I just had to get them out from the library. And like you said, if they were juicy ones, I would accidentally on purpose forget to return them to the library.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I thought it was only me that did that.
No, not at all.
I didn't return them though. My mum made me.
Then you have the big fine, isn't it? And then I'd get in trouble for that too.
No, there weren't that many fines. I don't think the fines were that
Oh,
bad.
I remember.
I just took them outside. I didn't
Depends
actually
on
go
when
there.
you return them, but sometimes if you like months later, it would kind of accrue to a lot of money.
I think after a while,
Mhm.
it got to the point where they were finding you.
Yeah.
But at that time, it wasn't. But yeah, and that's where I discovered my love for Francine Pascal. You know,
Yes.
Sweet Baby Pie, Sweet Dreams. Because at that
Yes.
time, we was a bit of a weird era. It was about adult books or children's books,
Yeah.
and there was nothing in between. So I think Francine and I think Judy Blume, they really sort of like bridged that gap, didn't they? Between,
100%.
and I think particularly Francine Pascal, her books were aimed at teenagers.
Yeah.
And they're very glamorous as well. So you thought, oh, I wouldn't mind being this girl.
Exactly. Jessica, what's the Elizabeth and Jessica, the twins from Sweet Valley High?
Oh, she really are.
Yeah, and then you had, like you said, Sweet Dreams. Even though there wasn't, I didn't have the same attachment because they didn't have the same central characters. It was just different stories, weren't they? And there were a few little offshoots from that era, but yeah, we sound so similar, and that's what I would do. Whereas my older cousins started going out and doing things, I was quite shy, so I just used to love to squirrel away at home reading my teenage novels and like daydreaming, wishing I lived in LA, some glamorous life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, no one at school was reading them, or they weren't a
Really?
bit. No.
No, we used to pass them around in school. I remember Judy Blume as well.
Yeah, forever.
Forever, that
I
was
remember that book
passed
being passed.
around throughout the whole school. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, so that was it. So I'd like, when I did start working, I'd go to Foyles or Selfridges and buy the book every month.
yeah,
Because they had a new one every month.
yeah. I would love to go
So,
back and read those actually because she passed away recently.
yeah, was it a month
Yeah,
ago?
she passed away. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go and read one just to refresh my memory.
Oh, yeah. I gave all mine away at the end.
I don't even remember. I think
I was
after
like,
just
yeah,
moving house after house, they just I don't even know what happened to them.
we were quite a lot in the house.
Exactly.
That's my contribution.
Yeah.
Looking at books.
Oh, amazing. All right. So moving on to beauty then. What drew you to kind of create a business in this particular sector?
Okay. Number one, on a personal level, I was always interested in beauty. Like when I was younger, my mum had skincare. My mum's skin was very different from mine, and her skincare routine was different as well. You
Mhm.
know, she used soap and water. But for me, I used to get lots of spots. You know, teenage spots,
Yeah.
acne, that sort of stuff. I didn't know how to deal with it. So, but I would buy lots of magazines, and they'd have lots of beauty tips, and that was some tips that I follow for today. And so that was one reason. And then one good thing about the internet was the emergence of blogging.
Hmm.
So people are able to sort of like get their stories out there on different platforms such as Blogger
Yeah.
or WordPress or
Hmm.
whatever they were called, Tumblr. So that was really when I started really sort of like showing my experiences. And then obviously social media came about. And then also there was actually a talk on Twitter called for beauty bloggers specifically.
Mm.
Sunday where they could talk about anything basically beauty related. I remember us talking about the lack of foundation for black women because it's very much pre-Fenty. And some sort of saying, well, this is not the space to discuss that. We said, oh,
Oh,
when can we discuss it?
yeah.
I thought, well, there isn't a platform for us to talk about beauty. So I thought, well, why don't we sort of like launch a Twitter discussion
Yeah.
like on Sunday, so we could discuss everything that affects us.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. So every Sunday for about a good couple of years, we did that. Talking about anything from foundation to skincare, hair care,
Yeah.
affected us. And then after that, I thought we probably need something a bit more stable, a permanent picture where people can actually come to get the information, find about beauty products that work for them. And that's when we birthed the website. And
Amazing.
that.
And that was 2013?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, well done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like years.
2013 was the Twitter discussion.
Yeah.
2014 was really when the website launched. God, my God. 10
That's
years.
crazy. And I think as well, we probably take it for granted now because we have so much information. But at the time, I do remember it feeling really revolutionary. And me, when I was able to, I would definitely log on and get, involved in those discussions. Um, do you feel now like the market is quite oversaturated? Because at the time it was like, yeah, if you want to get your point across or if you wanted to learn more about a topic, you would ensure that you were there, or I would go back and maybe even revisit the thread after it had been posted if I couldn't make it.
Oh, wow.
Because it was
I should have done that myself.
really. But,
Um,
yeah, do you feel
there are a lot of voices on
a lot
the
of what?
internet, a lot of voices
Yes.
on the platform, on different social media platforms.
Yeah.
And, but I don't think I think there is a massive skills gap, as in people are showing off what's great for them, which is perfect, or what they're being paid to promote, which is great.
Mm,
But there's still a lack of knowledge as to when people want to find out which cleanser is good for them, which lip oil works for them, or whether that foundation's any good.
yeah,
That information is still not accessible,
that is so
really.
true.
Because we kind of got into the situation where, do you remember when we had the Afro, the natural hair revolution, all
Yeah,
these wonderful natural hair, influencers?
influencers. Yeah,
Very honest and very forthright about the products that worked, the ones that didn't. And then also when it became a little bit more commercial, then
yeah. Everything works.
it. Because that's what happens when a platform or a wave gets popular. It becomes monetized, and then obviously it gets a little bit saturated, and the voices are toned down quite a lot.
Yeah,
So now people don't really know where to go to get that information because no one's created it. Because if you're being paid to write about a particular brand, you're not going to say anything bad about it.
yeah,
Very unlikely, and no one's going to pay you to write a review if they think it's going to be bad.
yeah,
Because why would that? Makes no sense. So there's, and then you then, on the other hand, you've got brands talking about their own products, which is great, saying how great they are,
yeah,
which is what they should do. But that impartial knowledge isn't quite there.
yeah.
It's not there anymore.
That's true. So I kind of view influencers now more as kind of almost spokespeople or models for the brand. So I don't, as you said, I don't go to them for kind of unbiased opinion. I go there to see, oh, this product can do that with their hair, or this product is now on the market. It's almost like they've become more ambassadors rather than this voice for the people that are going to give real honest opinions on products, you know? So,
I think definitely you're right. It's so fun. It's actually at an event, a beauty event, and one of the ladies sort of said she follows their particular influencer, said influencer, who she really likes. But when said influencer has an ad campaign, she doesn't check it out.
yeah,
She doesn't pay any mind. But when said influencer is talking about a product that she's used, then she
yeah,
takes it.
yeah. So that's
I
interesting.
find myself sometimes doing that, particularly
Yeah.
on platforms like TikTok, where with TikTok I follow voices that are very different, who I think are quite unique.
Hmm.
But they got an ad, then I don't really take their
Yeah.
names.
Which is interesting because marketers, that's the first thing they look at, isn't it? Is numbers and reach. I guess they could argue at least the eyeballs are seeing that product, whether you kind of digest it or not, at least there is awareness of it. And I guess it's like
Yeah.
putting an ad on a bus or in a magazine. I think it's become almost like that. Yeah. So tell me then,
Yeah.
because I think you're right. What I like about Brown Beauty Talk is you have not just one person, but you have different voices giving their opinion, and I think you guys are really respected as a voice of authority and also honesty as well, because you haven't got that hype, you haven't got this big sponsor behind you saying you have to write X, Y, and Z. But I know from my own experience that comes with challenges being independent. What challenges have you encountered on your journey? Um,
I would say financial. It's really hard to sort of like, if you don't have sponsors, it can be kind of hard to keep going and paying people so they can produce the quality that you want. So that's been the main factor. There's a barrier there, and you can't also produce the content that you want. You do the work on the projects that you want. So that's been one of the main things. I think also with us, another barrier has been the fact that we're positioned as in it's really hard to get small brands to work with us because our brand might not be big enough for them, might not be viable with us, or they might not have the
yeah,
budgets, give us. And at the same time, it's kind of hard to get a mainstream brand to work with us because they want to go to New Cosmos or your Ilks or your Finery 29s. They might not think we have a big enough platform. They might think we're too niche. So that's been a challenge, kind of trying to,
yeah.
manage those footsteps.
I had this conversation with Irene Shelley last week, who was encountering similar problems, even though the magazine's been going for 30 plus years. And it really frustrates me because you can do both. You can do your mainstream, your L's and your Vogues, but also, um, support Black independently owned publications.
It kind of frustrates me sometimes when you're working with a black brand and they don't really want to be in your publication because they want to
Oh,
only being a mainstream publication and
hell.
being
Yeah.
limited. And then it kind of annoys me when you go to an event and they sort of say, "Oh, you need to support black brands," that sort of stuff. And I think, well,
Yeah.
sometimes you support yourself,
Yeah.
that kind of yeah. So yeah, that just sometimes irritates me quite a bit.
Tell me about it. So I came across something on Instagram yesterday, and the conversation was stemming around. Basically, they were saying in 2020, as we know, a lot of brands made this public pledge about supporting black owned businesses and brands on the back of the George Floyd killings. And we saw loads of brands post black squares, and we saw an uptick in mainstream publications publishing content geared at the black consumer. But this person yesterday was saying it's kind of gone back to how it was pre 2020. What's your opinion? Because I absolutely agree. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I kind of feel that we have sort of like done a 180, but not in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that obviously he had like peak moment, the tragedy of George Floyd, and then peak moment. And was it June 1st, July 1st,
Yeah.
2020, when everyone and their dog put out the black square.
Yeah.
Um, and then quite a few brands sort of said they'll do initiatives, which was great, like Glossier. I love the fact that Skin Sense did a fantastic project when they actually worked with black-owned skincare brands.
Mm-hmm.
And Glossier had a funding program. Quite a few others did that as well.
Yeah.
And also with the effect of, gosh, what's the name? The lady that runs Uwama Beauty. And she actually asked quite a lot of brands to post how many black
Yes.
staff they had.
Yeah.
Pull up
Yeah.
and change. Yeah. And then a lot of brands did that. Some of them said that they would go out of their way to make sure they had more staff in senior positions. I'm not sure what's happened with that.
Mm.
But unfortunately, from the UK perspective, I don't see much change, unfortunately.
Mm.
I think the problem is there are less events,
Mm.
far less events than there were years ago. Also, the campaigns, there aren't as many campaigns, and when you do see the campaigns, there's not that much diversity.
Yeah.
I think most because there's lots, everyone and their dog's an influencer. Maybe the PRs can't really decide who to choose, but I think sometimes they go for numbers. It's kind of like a bit of a weird one. Like for instance, before I would say also before COVID, George Floyd, I did request to go to a Fenty beauty event, and I managed to get in because the brand manager or the brand director at the time told the PR to give me an invite. So I went and I met a few people there and they said they were from Rihanna's fan club.
Okay.
They'd been invited by the PR. And I was like, interesting how you decide who
Yeah.
is relevant to go to a brand event,
Yeah.
who isn't. And the actual, deciding factor does make me
Yeah.
sometimes wonder. And sometimes you go to an event, you see someone who's got like 500 followers. It's been like blogging or influencing for like 5 minutes. And you're like, interesting.
It really is. It really boggles the mind. And when you also factor, because we went to that Rimmel launch, didn't we, a couple of weeks back, which was interesting. It was really like this huge event at the, is it F1 arcade?
Yeah,
Hundreds
that's
of
true.
people. Um, but I remember us saying how how old we felt because there were so many young people. And this is
Yeah.
something like I never really factored when I was in the midst earlier on in my career. You just kind of forget that this is a really youth orientated industry.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you feel about that actually? Because we talk about lack of diversity, like racial diversity all the time, but I think ageism is just something that's kind of accepted and not really spoken about in equal terms. So, what do you think of that? Do you feel that that is also a barrier you face as well as someone that's on the over 40 side of things?
Not really, because I don't think people know how old I am. So they
Hmm.
don't, I don't think it's that way. But I think from the beauty industry overall, I know obviously it's improved, but it's gone from people not wanting to age and brands sort of trying to push all the anti-aging
Hmm.
elements onto them to embracing their age group.
Yeah.
So you see more influencers with grey hair, or products aimed at women who can actually cultivate having grey hair, and also embracing their skin, sort of like giving them anti-aging skincare, giving them products that can actually help them grow with age.
Yeah.
I think the awareness is a lot better now. And also, you've got more talk about
Yeah.
menopause as well, haven't you? Whilst before people wouldn't even mention it.
Yeah. I guess
I think
so.
it's
I think maybe from my perspective, then, as someone who writes about beauty, I think the places I can talk about issues relating to menopause or the changes in the skin, or deciding whether or not to go grey or embrace your greys, are kind of few and far between. I remember when I was, I can laugh about it now, when I was doing interviews for this publication. They approached me on LinkedIn. I was quite surprised because it's quite a younger publication. And I had the first interview, it was fine. And the second interview, I had a catch up with the editor. And the editor was way younger than me. I think this girl might have been early 30s. And off the cuff, I was told to pitch ideas. And I think one of them was like menopause. And I could see her face was like thinking, girl, you're none of my readers are going to be interested in menopause. What are you talking about? So I think the spaces I have to discuss the things that I'm going through are few and far between. So that,
right. I see what you mean. I think in terms of like mainstream magazines, menopause is not a sexy subject,
it's
so
not.
it's probably not something that would be covered in a mature sense.
Yeah.
Another what you're saying about events, I think a lot of them are catered towards
Yeah.
youngins.
Yeah.
Like you go to an event, like I've been to an event for certain brands where it's been like a party. No, there's no PRs on hand. If they are on hand, they're not talking to you about the
Yeah.
products. They're just about having a good time. As many selfies as possible.
And that's what, no disrespect to the Rimmel launch. We had a good time. There's food and drink was flowing, but that's what it felt like. It felt like a big party, which was fine. But I guess
Yeah.
we're more used to attending PR events and them actually talking about the product and promoting that. But but I feel they do look at your pictures, and they can, even if you haven't
Probably
got
do
the age on
actually.
there, and I think, oh, because I would say 99% of the people at that event were super young, like under 25. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, if you look at my picture, probably think, oh no, over the hill.
Yeah, so I think that's another barrier to overcome as well. So, but on a positive note, what are some of the things you love most about running Brown Beauty Talk?
um, I like the fact that we get to connect with an audience and deliver a service that's needed. I mean, I was writing a piece, filling some questions for a publication, and she was listing me all the stuff that we've done, and I kind of wrote it down, and I thought, God, we have done quite a lot over the last few years. Like our master classes with like Bobby Brown, NARS,
Yes.
UK, they've gone down really well, and the newsletters that we've done, and the the content on the website, our Instagram lives. So I like looking back and seeing that we've done all that. Like working with different brands, and like connecting them with audiences as well. I also like working in such an exciting
Mm,
community with beauty lovers, even though some people might not take it seriously. They think it's just mascara
yeah,
and lip therapy. It's a lot more than that.
yeah.
It is something that I really do enjoy.
Absolutely. And speaking of your events, I loved your events. I think you need to bring those back. I really, really enjoyed them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So what's next for, what plans do you envisage for Brown Beauty Talk?
Once a, sort of like we're back, we're sort of a bit of a hiatus, so a bit
Mm.
back on Instagram at the moment. We're going to launch a newsletter, basically. So we're basically sort of like people's always asking us what's the best
Yeah.
product for this, what's the product for that, what do you like the most. So probably if we have that in a newsletter, because that seems to be the way going forward, that goes into people's inboxes,
Mhm.
then that's something that we're going to look on really sort of like implementing.
Absolutely. So would you say that would replace the website, or would you have the two run side by side? Or you're not
I
sure?
think the website will probably hold stuff such as, uh, hair brands that are black owned, skincare brands that are black owned.
Right.
Um, so those sort of items,
Hmm.
um, reference as a reference tool where people can go to if they want that sort of information.
Okay.
Stuff we'll have on the website.
Amazing. And where can people find you actually before we close? Yeah.
At Brown Beauty Talk on Instagram,
Mhm.
Threads, and also on
Are you
Twitter,
on
which
Threads as well? On
you're on
Threads.
Threads.
Okay. I haven't. I haven't.
You on it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's
To get
similar to
to
Twitter, isn't it? Quite similar, but you just have more characters, I guess, or more.
it's actually it's about the environment's a little bit more friendlier.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's not such an exciting place to be on at the moment. It's just
yeah. I
I
haven't been on there for years.
random.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Ronke, thank you so much. That was really, really
Well,
enjoyable talk. I learned lots about you, and
oh, good.
I'm wishing you all the success with Brown Beauty Talk. It's much, much needed. We don't
Thank
have that many platforms that speak directly to us and stuff. So I wish you all the best of your future endeavors. And yeah, let me know if I can support in any shape or form. Okay.
you. Will do. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.